Hey guys, this is Will.
I'm Mike.
This is first watch.
Sorry, laughing. He just like expelled like nonstop gas before we hit record.
I can't stop burping.
Unbelievable.
So we're talking about Pumpkinhead, and this is first watch. If I forgot to say,
Yep.
This is our show's part review, part reaction. Pumpkinhead was released in 1988, and it's the directorial debut of Stan Winston, very famous for his creatures.
Yup.
He was famous. So he was given the script and asked to do the creatures for it, and he was like, "Can I also direct it?" And they were like, "If you'll do the creatures."
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty cool.
So Lance Henriksen is in this movie, and I loved watching this movie.
It was a really good movie. It's
Yeah.
It runs into the problem a lot of films do, where you see it and you're like, "Oh, this is just like a straight up monster Jason kind of movie," and it's not. You know,
it came out in that era of all those slasher movies, and I think it gets lumped in with a lot of like Hellraiser and stuff. And it's actually like this kind of like dark Southern Gothic like fairy tale.
Yeah,
it's almost like
exactly
it reminds me of
it's like a dark fairy
It's like
tale.
a Guillermo del Toro movie, basically. Yeah, where this like group of kids. So Lance Henriksen lives in this like really poor small town,
Rural area,
and he owns a store, and he has a kid, and the kid gets hit by a motorcycle by these like
not on purpose.
not on purpose. Like there's these rich kids who come into town and they're at his store, and one of them takes a dirt bike off the truck and is riding it around, and he accidentally hits the kid. And the kid dies, and Lance Henriksen is aware of this local myth about this witch who lives like deep in like the swamp or the woods, and you can go and talk to her, and
you've been wrong,
right? And she will unearth this creature. And so also, I think Pumpkinhead is a bit of a misnomer because it's called that because he is like exhumed from this pumpkin patch from this deceased version of his former self, right? He keeps being reborn like a phoenix.
Yeah.
His head is not a pumpkin.
No,
like
it's
he's
a
like
creature.
this big badass monster.
He's super tall.
Yeah.
And really well done. Like he looks really good.
So Lance Henriksen sacrifices a part of himself, but you have to like give something in order for the monster to come to
and it's
fruition.
linked to you too.
Yeah, and so
that's the one thing he didn't bargain for. Like these kids killed his son, and he's really depressed and really sad and really angry about
furious,
it. And what you do is when you're wronged in this down south in this area is you go and you raise Pumpkinhead to get revenge for you. And what it does, it's not a creature that's just going to kill everybody. It's going to go after what you want, and then when it's done, it's done. So he goes to the witch, he raises it up. And Pumpkin, and it starts killing him, but he can like feel it and he can see it.
And some of
it's not what he like.
And it should be said that it's this movie has a lot more subtlety than like, because when you hear like, oh, it's an '80s movie and there's a bunch of kids and they're getting killed by a monster, you think Jason, right? Or Friday the 13th,
something like
or
that.
what's the other one?
Halloween.
Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, or like
Any of
Halloween.
those.
But there's more subtlety to this movie because some of those kids are bad and some of them are not.
Yeah.
And that's what complicates the plot because Lance Henriksen is like, well, I don't
really want the good
not all
ones.
of these kids need to be murdered or like do
and it's really and it's like and Pumpkinhead's really interesting because like usually like Jason or Michael Myers, not so much Freddy, but like those two, they kill and then they just go, right? Pumpkinhead kind of like plays with his victims a little bit, like the one woman he's like dragging across and he's like showing them in the window and they're like, going after him, he's like dragging her around like so he kind of plays with like it's like psychological as well. And so Lance Henriksen is like feeling all this, and he's like, "Man, this isn't bringing my son back, and it's just like it's not helping me feel better." But you can't really stop Pumpkinhead release by just like shooting. They try, but it's like this thing's like 9 feet tall. It's like scary looking.
And it all takes place in one night, basically, right?
Yeah,
and it's
night.
like the finale is like by this barn, and there's like flames involved, and it's like the way it's shot
really
at
cool.
night is like very kind of like gothic and creepy, and like what this really reminds me of. I mentioned Guillermo del Toro, and Guillermo del Toro's work also really reminds me of the Universal monster movies, right?
Yeah.
Like Frankenstein
Had a lot of that.
That kind of like just creepy, atmospheric, like, and it's relatively like all those Universal monster movies are less than 90 minutes, and this is like a pretty short movie.
It's pretty short,
right?
and it has that feeling where it's like you don't root for the monster, but it's not just like this like evil thing. It's just like it's like a sad thing, right? Like in his time of grief, he made this mistake that's not helping anything, and now he wants to undo it and stop it before it kills all the kids.
And it's very sad. Like they spend time showing you his relationship with his son.
Yeah.
So that it's not one of these movies where like I think you watch a lot of revenge movies where someone dies in like the first scene, and you're like, I don't give a a shit about that person,
whatever.
right? Like that's why a movie like John Wick is so genius
is
because
like 20,
everyone likes
25 minutes.
puppies,
Yeah,
right?
that's smart.
So you're like, okay, you don't even have to worry about you knowing the character. Oh, it's a
just-
cute puppy.
And
Yeah.
we're- So spoiler alert. The way that they find to stop Pumpkinhead is that it's linked to Lance Henderson's character,
Right.
and when Lance Henderson gets hurt, Pumpkinhead gets hurt. So
He has to die.
he has to die, and I think
So it's
he
like
shoots
it's
himself. and they kill
really
him.
bleak.
Yeah, it's a bleak movie,
And it's kind of about
I think,
how, like,
I think
he-
only like one or two of the kids live
I
through
think
the
it's
night.
just the one, isn't it? One or two.
Yeah, one or two because they get help from like a local person. It's not really
Yeah,
important,
local
but,
kid helps them out.
But
yeah.
but so it's like it's like you said, really gothic, cool setting in the woods, tall, scary monster,
And sad. It's
and
a very
sad
sad
and fun.
movie. Yeah,
but fun too.
So check it if you haven't seen it. Obviously, check it out. If you have seen it, this is a nice recap for you. Go watch it again. It's on somewhere. We saw it streaming somewhere. right?
Yeah, and we'll probably watch the others because there's a whole bunch of them in the series.
Yeah, but I
We'll
think I
see.
think they turn into like trashy
yeah.
horror
So
movies,
we'll see if we ever get around to
because Lance
watching them.
Henriksen is only in the one, right?
he's really good.
So that's Pumpkinhead. I'm Will.
And I'm Mike.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.